The Galactic Council's test facility on Station Kepler-7 housed many instruments of measurement, but none more feared than Chamber 9. The gravity chamber had broken 4 Krathan warriors, crushed a Valorian champion into unconsciousness, and sent a Thexian battlemaster into permanent medical suspension. The chamber was a monument to failure, sealed behind triple reinforced doors with warning glyphs in 17 languages. Until Lana requested access. Edward watched from the observation deck as his human colleague stood before the chamber's entrance, rolling her shoulders in that peculiar way humans prepared themselves. He'd tried to dissuade her 3 times already, his mandibles clicking nervously. "Lana, this is inadvisable," Edward said through the intercom, his translator struggling with his species-concerned tone. "Your physiology, while remarkably resilient, is not designed for forces exceeding 8 times your planetary gravity." She looked up at the observation window, her dark eyes glinting with something Edward had learned to recognize as determination. "Ed, where I'm from, we've got a saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger." "Yes, but this will kill you," Edward insisted, his 6 arms gesturing emphatically at the data screen surrounding him. "The Krathan have bone density 3 times yours." They lasted 4 minutes. Lana grinned. "Then I guess I'll have to beat 5. Before Edward could protest further, she stepped through the airlock. The massive door sealed behind her with a hiss that sounded too much like a tomb closing. Edward's primary hands flew across the controls, setting the chamber to its minimum setting, a mere 3 times Earth gravity. Surely she would tap out immediately, realize her folly, and they could return to the xenobiology research that had brought them to this station. Through the reinforced viewing port, he watched Lana drop to one knee as the gravity engaged. Her breathing came hard and fast, visible in the thermal imaging, but then impossibly she stood. "Interesting," she panted, her voice strained through the comm. "Feels like I'm wearing a really bad weighted vest." Edward's translator squawked in surprise. A really bad weighted vest? This force had rendered a Krathan warrior comatose, and she compared it to exercise equipment. Over the next hour, Lana moved through what she called basic calisthenics. Push-ups that would have shattered a Valorian's arms. Squats that defied everything Edward knew about bipedal physiology. She fell twice, struggled to her feet both times, and kept going. "Lana, your vital signs are approaching dangerous levels," Edward warned, his concern genuine. In their 3 years of research partnership, she'd become more than a colleague. Humans had this peculiar ability to inspire loyalty, even in species that considered emotional attachment inefficient. "I'm good," she gasped. "Just getting warmed up." This was warmed up? Edward checked the chamber's settings 3 times, certain there must be a malfunction. But no, 3 times Earth gravity, exactly as programmed. On the 3rd day, Lana requested 5 times gravity. "Absolutely not," Edward said flatly. The Thexian lasted 30 seconds at that level before his circulatory system collapsed. "The Thexian wasn't from a death world," Lana countered, stretching in the chamber's antechamber. Her muscles had visibly adapted, growing denser, stronger. Edward had been monitoring her cellular structure, and the results were frankly terrifying. Her body was optimizing itself. "Earth is not classified as a death world," Edward protested weakly. Lana laughed, the sound somehow both musical and slightly unhinged. "Ed, buddy, we have insects that can kill with a single sting. Weather patterns that level cities. Predators that hunt for sport. Our planet actively tries to murder us, and we turned it into a tourist destination. If that's not a death world, I don't know what is." Edward had no response to that. His own homeworld of Centauri 9 was a paradise of controlled climates and engineered ecosystems. The idea of nature as an adversary was fundamentally alien to him. He set the chamber to 5 times gravity. Lana lasted 15 minutes before she staggered out, her skin flushed, her breathing ragged. But she was grinning like she'd won a prize. Week 2, she requested 7 times gravity. Week 3, 8. By week 4, Lana was training in 9 times Earth gravity for 30-minute intervals, doing exercises that Edward couldn't even name. She'd brought in weights, actual physical weights, and was lifting them in conditions that should have turned her bones to powder. Other species began to gather at the observation deck. Word spread through the station. The human was doing the impossible in Chamber 9. Warriors from a dozen worlds came to witness, their expressions ranging from disbelief to something approaching reverence. "How?" asked Commander Thrak, a Krathan whose own brother had been broken by the chamber. His voice carried the weight of genuine confusion. How does she endure what killed our strongest? Edward pulled up Luna's physiological data, the information he'd been compiling. Humans evolved in constant conflict with their environment. Variable gravity during their evolutionary development, atmospheric pressure changes, temperature extremes. Their bodies are designed for adaptation. But more than that, he paused, searching for the right words. They have something they call spite. They continue not because they can, but because they were told they couldn't. On day 30, Luna emerged from a 40-minute session at 10 times Earth gravity. She was drenched in sweat, shaking, and looked half dead, but her eyes were alight with triumph. New personal record, she announced to the assembled crowd. Then, looking directly at Edward, she added, "Think we can push it to 11 tomorrow?" Edward's translator made a sound it had never made before, something between a laugh and a sigh of resignation. "Humans," he muttered, already adjusting the chamber's parameters. In the observation deck, Commander Thrak turned to his aide. "Note this in the combat assessments. Humanity's greatest weapon is not their technology or their tactics. It is their absolute refusal to acknowledge the impossible." Luna overheard through the open comm and grinned. "Damn right," she said. "We didn't climb to the top of Earth's food chain by knowing when to quit." As she walked toward the decontamination showers, already planning tomorrow's workout, Edward made a personal note in his research log. Recommendation: never, under any circumstances, engage humanity in extended conflict. They do not break. They adapt, and what they adapt to, they conquer. Chamber 9 was no longer a monument to failure. It had become Luna's training room, and through her a testament to humanity's terrifying potential. The galaxy would learn, as Edward had, that humans didn't survive impossible odds. They turned impossible into routine.